Hello again, and welcome to part 5, in which we will start looking at the server-side logic of logging in. And we are again using a mock client, a slightly different one than in the previous video. So let's take a look at what we are going to do this time around. And I have my UML diagram here for the login. So in the previous video, I basically got all of this here in place, right? And I'm currently using a dummy client so that I don't have to connect to the server here. So this one is just pretending to be a socket client, right? So after we have implemented the server part, then the socket client will be the last part to bind the two things together. So in this video, we are looking at this part of the diagram. I need to create a server and my socket handlers and the model and the data access so that I can validate a login. And let's get started on that part. So I find my IntelliJ, push successful, wonderful. Let's close this client part, we don't need that, the server. So what? I messed up shared and server. So this one here, the data transfer is supposed to go in here. Just refactor that one. And I don't need that in the server. There's no data and there's no util in the server either. And I just have a main method to run my Battleship server. So let us check out, what do I need here? Server. I need networking. Let's create a networking package. Networking. I need a model package. I need a data access package. All right. Maybe we'll start out with a different approach. So this time we're starting button up. So I'll start with my data access here. And in this one, well, it's going to look very much like my dummy client from before, because it just needs to have a list of hard-coded users and then a method to validate the login. So let's see, not that one. Data access, we will create a class, account user, maybe we call it user home. I just call it home to indicate this is where my users live. I don't know, maybe I should change this, account home, user home, in memory users. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I messed it up. Anyway, user home. Oh, that's my interface. This needs to be an interface. And it's going to have a method called string validate user, and it takes a user as argument. There we go. And I will also have a in-memory users, and it must implement the interface user home. Implement methods. Yep. I also need a private list containing users. And I need a constructor. Nope, not with that. New array list, like that. Okay, and I'm just going to steal here, say, like those. Yep, users, seems good. The validate user, that is going to do basically the same functionality, but instead of notifying, we can just return the result here. That's probably it. So it's complaining that it finds the code because I just copy pasted it, and usually you're not supposed to copy paste code, but it's okay for this one because this client, the dummy client, is going to be deleted at some point, or at least not used. So this is my functionality. Obviously, I would at some point, check some kind of persistent storage, either a database or a file or whatever for this. But for now, we're just hard coding it, and I am fairly happy with that. I need a main method to run stuff. All right, and I need to be able to instantiate one of these. So I just say user home, and it's equal to a new user, new in memory, like that. All right. And then we take the next step. So that's basically my button part here. Can I just strange. Okay. Then I need my model. So the model is going to be doing a bit more logic as the game progresses, I assume. But for now, there's very, very little in it. So let's just make that one. We have the model. I call it here. I don't know. Game manager. Now I call it model manager, but it's a game we're making. Maybe I try to branch out in the naming. It's all interesting. Interface, and it's going to have a method called validate. String validate user. It takes a user. There we go. And like that. Maybe I will split that out later on, we'll see. But for now we put it here, and I need a model implementation. We just say it model manager, like that. It implements the game model. I need to implement the method, and in here this one, according to my diagram, must know about a user home and use that to validate users. So here we just go, I need a private user home, and I need a constructor with that user home. So I'm setting that, and I'm giving it dependency injection again. So that means my model manager again just knows about an interface. And if at some point in the future I want to swap out the user list here with a file or database, then I can do that without changing the rest of my code, because I'm just using the interface here. Alright, so this one says user home and home.validate user with the user. And that should be it for my model for now. So we have this part in place. I need to instantiate my model from the run Battleship server. Here we go. We say game model gem new game model, that one, and it takes a user home. So we inject that, and then I need my server class. All right, so let's create a server Battleship server, and in here I must have a reference to the game model. I need a constructor to set it, and then I need a method to start the server. Public void start server. Right, this is the idea is similar to what I had in the view handler up here. Battleship app. For my view handler, I first instantiated through the constructor and set up what I need to, and then I started. This is where it actually does things. And the same thing here, I can instantiate it and provide it with what it needs, and then I can start it here. And we say server socket, new server socket, and we listen at port 2910 for various reasons. And I will surround that. We will do this for now. If I cannot start it, then I need to handle that somehow. Okay, I need a while true. My server socket, this is where I accept a socket, and from that I get a socket. So we call this client. And the next part would be to hand that socket over to a server socket handler so that I can, listen for inputs from that specific client. So I need my server socket handler, like that, and it must implement the runnable so we can make it run in a separate thread. I need a reference to the game model. Now my other class here, my server, my Battleship server, doesn't really need this for anything other than to give it to the server socket client. So whenever a client connects, we need to instantiate a new server socket client which knows about the game model so they can communicate through that one. And it also needs a socket. Like that, yep. Then we need a constructor setting both of them like that. And then in the run method we're going to do stuff. For now, I also want to, maybe I do want that. I'll keep that. I want a private object output stream out to client. I need a private object input stream in from client, and I instantiate them down here, and we say out to client equals new output object output stream with my socket get output stream like that, and we say in from client new object input stream. I give it the socket get the input stream, and like that. And these ones are also complaining about unhandled exceptions, and I think if it fails here, then I want to handle that in my other class, my Battleship server, eventually. Where did it go? Here we go. Okay, so that's the setup part, and then we can run it, and I will just will do that just in a moment. First, we take this one here. We say server socket handler SSH, and I provide it with my game model and this client here, and then we say thread. Well, I do this new thread SSH start. All right, and this one is also no. So okay, so I don't want to throw this exception anymore, because if it fails for one client, then I still want to keep going and try to accept the next one. So I'm removing that part, and then in here we say Control Alt T, which gives me a surround with, and I want to surround with a try catch. There we go. And I just print message. Nope. So get message. I don't need an entire stack trace. I just want a message saying the client connection failed or whatever. Then we're going to try again. This one here, Well, if that one fails, then I can't really do anything. So it makes sense to throw that and then need to handle that somewhere else. And in my run Battleship, so I think this is for my server. It accepts a client. I hand the client over to a server-side handler, and I start that as a new thread. And then we say over here, I just need to create a Battleship server. Battleship server. Battleship server. Yep. BS. New one of these, and it takes a game model like GM, and then I say bs.start server, and this may fail, and then we surround that with a try catch and complete failure to launch. Whatever, I can't really do much to fix this currently. So this is starting my server. It should be listening for clients, and then whenever a client connects, we may need to do something down here. So we say while true, we want to listen for input from the client, and then usually I want to try and probably catch something. And I put that in here. Catch exception E. All right, I want to do stuff. I want to read something from the client, which will be a request. We're using that in from client read object, and that is going to be a request. And it will give me a request. Okay, so I need to flesh out the request a little bit, right? It's in my, where is it? It's over here, right in my data transfer, and it has just two. There's a, I'm going to be bold and make the variables public. You probably shouldn't, but yeah. Okay, one of them is an event type. We say type, and the other one is a object of some type argument, and I need a constructor to set them both. There we go. This is my access can be private. We'll see about that. And that's all for my request. Right? Oh, yeah, this one needs to be serializable. Otherwise I cannot send it serializable. Yeah. Okay, so I'm getting a request, and then I need to figure out if that request.type is equal to event type.login result. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to have a login result here. This should be a login request. I could of course use the same one and just call it login or whatever, but I like to, I don't know, for now I like to split it out. So I just create another one and say login request. So now I have a two. This is when I send it, and then this is when it comes back. All right, and do like this. And if it's that type, then I know that I have a user to work with. This is what I'm sending from my request, right? A user, and from my request I get the argument. So when you work together in your semester project, and one of you is doing the client side and one of you is doing the server side, you're going to have to agree upon this protocol here and say, when I send a request type of that, then you can expect a data container of this type, right? And then we go game model, validate user. I have my user here, and that is going to give me a string, login result, like that. And I can send the result back again. So we say out to client, and I'm going to send a request back. So let me just make that request. And well, maybe I should have made another one and call it response, just to indicate it's going the other way, but it will basically contain the same thing. So I'm just going to call it request, but we're naming the variable response instead. We're using a request, but calling it response. Okay, new request, and it takes an event type, And what do I have? I have this one, right? No. Okay, whatever. It's a login result, because now I am sending something back, and I'm sending back my login result like that. And I give it a response here. This is what I want to write to the client. Okay, so I read something from the client. I figure out that the request is of type login. I then get the argument, and I know that's supposed to be a user because my client here takes a user when I want to log in, right? My client takes a user and sends it down here to be validated. Is my user implementing serializable? Yes, it is. And let me just close all that again. I can keep getting stuff open. I validate the user and get a login result, which is, where do we have it? User home, in-memory user. It can either be OK, incorrect password, or user not found. And then I create a request that I can send back again. So this time the event is result, and I give it whatever I got from the validation part and write that back. So that should actually be it for the server here. And I can create a small client just to test it. So let me just create a temporary test client. And in this one, I'm going to create a socket to connect to the local host, which is myself, my own computer here. And the port must be the same. I use 2910, and it's just quick and dirty, so let's just throw it. That's quicker. And then I want to say, we want to test a few different things. So we say user u1 is equal to a new user, and it takes the tools 1. So this is the one where I don't find the password. I don't find the user. Tools 1 does not exist as a user. I have a user 2, and this time around I find the user but not the password. And the final one is that one, right? So now I just need to say socket. Nope, I need an object output stream out to server. New one of these. Take this from the client. I need an object input stream in from server with a new one here. Get it from the client, and let me just check. Oh, the output stream. So I usually need to create these in the opposite direction. So if I create an input stream here, then I need an output stream here, and then the second one is an output stream, and then the matching pair is an input stream. Right? Okay. Then we want to first send a write object, new request, and I'm giving it event type login request, and I'm giving it the user 1. Yep. Then we need to read something from the server, read object. I know that I'm getting a request back, and I need to add that as well, and that gives me a request. And then we can print out a request dot up the argument. No, press the argument. Okay, so that's the first test. We expect this to say user not found. We need something similar for the second test. Just copy that. Request 1, and this one is incorrect password. And the last one, user 3, request 2, whatever. This one should print out OK. All right, so let's try and run it. I need my run Battleship server, and maybe I should start out here. Server started. Waiting for client. And we'll print out client connected. There we go, so we can see that something happens. And maybe I also want to print out something in here saying request login requested result is login result. All right, so we can follow along what's happening. Okay, now we go and run the stuff. All right, my server is running, it's waiting for a client, so we are somewhere. We're stuck here, well here, waiting for the client to connect. I have my test client. Let's see how it goes. Building again. And I know I should pause the video, but we want to see what happens. And I get user not found. I get incorrect password. I get OK. And user not found, incorrect, blah, blah, blah. It is what I expected to see, right? And this one here, I also printed out on the server side. It's waiting for the next client. I can actually run it again just to see that it works once more, and wonderful. So I am fairly confident that my server part is working so far, at least. I can handle a login request, and I can send a login response back again. So my other teammate of the group, second one, has made the server, and the first one has made the client side. And we just need this tiny class to put it together. And we're going to do that in the next video. I should update these at some point, but I'll do that outside. So we are, it's going pretty well, I think. Let's stop here. See you in the next video.